guys, Farm Life Off-Grid here. My name's Robert, and I wanted to share with you guys the exact process that we went through to get our land. So, by all means, we're not experts at any of this. I just want to share our experience so that if you are looking to get land for a homestead or off-grid, you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to be looking at as far as prices and the overall process. But I'm not going to try to waste anybody's time. I'm going to get right to it. I got a whole list that I want to get through. These are the top 5 things that I believe are the most important when you are looking to buy land. The first thing is find a place with water. I can't stress how important it is if you're going to be having a farm to make sure you have a water source on the property. You don't want to be hauling water in, and unless you have money to pay for a well, bare minimum it's going to cost you $7 grand for a well, and that is if they don't have to go very far down. Around here it was more like 10 to 12, so that's just not in our budget. So find water. Otherwise, you're going to be paying the fire department $75 every time for, I think they're charging 10 cents a gallon. So that's also very expensive. If you're going to get, if you're going to look for a place with water, you want to consider what type of water source it's going to be too, because that's going to all depend on what kind of infrastructure you need to build and how much it's going to cost. If you're going to be pulling water out of a pond, it's got to be a pretty decent sized pond, because you want to be taking water that's at least 3 feet down, not off the bottom, but not off the top. That's in the middle is going to be where your cleanest water is on a pond. If you're going to be tapping into a spring, there's a whole bunch of things you need to do in order to develop that to be able to use it. Or a stream or whatever. Those are all things you're going to have to decide, what's best for you. The next thing I would say, the most important thing you're going to have to consider is the building codes. So you're going to want to call all of the places that you find, you're going to want to call the towns and call their zoning department and talk to their building inspector and see if they have zoning restrictions, which means that's going to be more like having to do with can you farm and all that stuff. And then you want to find a place that you don't have to have building permits, because you don't want to have to ask for permission every 2 seconds you want to do something. You should be able to build whatever you want. You want to build a house out of sticks and mud? You should be able to do that. It's your property. So make sure you find a place that there is none of that. The closer you go to town or a big town, harder it is going to be to find that. I can tell you, here in the Ozarks, you can pretty much do whatever you want. That is one nice thing about around here. So building codes and restrictions. If you have kids, you're going to want to look into the homeschooling laws. We checked out the schools and all that stuff at the place that we're going to now. The schools are already, aware. We're already, he's basically registered already. We sent them all the information. So they're going to pick them up right at the end of the property. And those are all things that you want to consider, because every place is going to be different. And the climate that you're looking for, we want to change climates because it's way too hot down here. The next biggest thing I would say is what kind of farm you're going to be doing. What kind of animals you're going to be having, and how many. How many acres are you gonna need. This is all gonna, this is gonna depend on what you're gonna be able to do with your property. You don't want to be buying a bunch of scrub brush unless you're going to be having goats, because cows, sheep, horses are not going to be doing good on that kind of property. You're going to want nice green pasture for those kinds of animals. And each animal, big animal, you're going to want 1 acre per cow or horse or whatever like that. Up to 8 goats per acre on good forage. And I want to say sheep is about the same. I want to say that, but I'm not positive. But either way, you want to determine how many acres you're going to actually need, because within 2 years we realized that this property was not going to be big enough for us. The goats and the horse, and they ate everything off of half the property within a couple months. So no, it wasn't enough. And because it was bad soil, as soon as they ate it, all the grass disappeared and it wouldn't come back, because it's just no dirt underneath. It's all rocks and clay. So that's another thing you're going to want to consider, is what kind of soil they're going to have out there, what grows good, all that stuff. Vegetation and the land condition. This place was logged, so make sure it wasn't logged if you want, a lot of trees. Those things you can change long term, but if you're trying to get started right away and not put a bunch of money into it, you're going to want to make sure you get that stuff, because if we wanted to stick it around in this piece of property, which has no pond and all that stuff, instead of going to our new one, we could make it happen. It would just take longer, and you'd have to put more money into it. So that's going to be part of the next one, which is price per acre. So when you get a logged piece of property that has no pond and it has no water on it, it's going to be okay, it depends on the area, because this property was $3,000 an acre. It's closer to town, but it has no pond and it was logged, and that basically, that's what made it cheaper than other properties around here. And when I say cheaper, it's only coming down to the down payment, because $3,000 an acre is not really cheap. But the down payments were only $500 down, going through one of these land companies. So price per acre and your down payment, those are going to be the ones that really determine what kind of choices you have. We put $500 down on each lot here, and one payment for the 5 acres, $190 a month, and the 7-acre lot is $280 a month, and that's for 8 years, or 100 payments, which was a good deal for us, because it made it really easy to get onto our land. Another thing you're going to want to consider is your contract and your contract conditions. So if you're going to be doing this owner finance thing, then you're going to, because banks really don't like to loan on raw land, just so you know. It's not a thing that they really like to do. You're better off, if you're going to go through a bank, you're better off finding something with a house on it. But if you're going to do this owner finance thing and get a raw piece of land, then you're going to want to really look at your contract conditions, because those places that, and I'll leave links in the description, but all the places that have, land and they require a small down payment and you can get on your land right away and all that stuff, those places have quite a few conditions depending on the company. Homestead Crossing, it was the least amount of conditions that I saw on most of the companies. You can't cut trees over 8 inches, certain kinds of dogs, like you can't have pit bulls, no mobile homes after a certain, or before a certain year, and just there's like quite a few, but you'll have to research and look at each company, because there's companies all over the country, and we always found them on landwatch.com. So that was our biggest resource when it comes to looking for land. So the difference between the land company and the private sale Now, the second piece of property we put 10 grand down, okay, and then we had to pay $1,200 for a lawyer to do the contracts and the transfer of deed and all that stuff, and disperse the money to the owners and the realtors. You have to do that with a lawyer, so we had to pay that. It ended up costing us 12 grand total. Now the difference in process was that, yeah, we had to pay a lot more money for the down payment, but we also got 73 acres at $950 an acre, and our payments are basically the same. I mean, we're paying $100 extra a month, and we're getting 73 acres versus 12 acres. Okay, so that down payment made all the difference. Most people are going to ask for 20%. So whatever the land you're looking at, look at 20%, and that's going to be your down payment. Sometimes as high as 30%, but you can negotiate, especially when it's a private person and you're talking with the realtor and all that. They can ask them, and that was our case. We asked them what the minimum it would be for us to get on the property and make it a done deal, and they said they would do $10,000. So we saved $10,000. We paid it, and the deed goes in your name immediately. Now, when you go through a company, the deed does not go in your name immediately. It's until you pay off 30%, then it goes into a normal deed on most of the companies. Some it's all the way till the end, but until you pay 30%, you're not really even owner. It's just more of a rent-to-own contract. So that's basically the main difference. The main difference is you're going to get complete ownership right away. You can log it, do whatever you want if that's what your prerogative is, but you can do whatever you want, and it's your land. You're going to be paying taxes immediately, all that stuff. So that's the main difference, and you get better choices. So more money you put down, better choices you get. We got a 5-acre trout pond up there and a half a mile of trout stream, maple trees everywhere. Much better land than what we got here. Price comparison, like I said, it's just mostly the down payment, because we got the land at almost the same price, but we got way more of it. Restrictions. The only restrictions we got on the new land was that if we were to log, we have to apply all of the profits to the mortgage. So if we cut down any trees and we sell them, it has to be applied to the mortgage and pay off the land first, which I'm totally fine with. But we're not going to do that anyways. And I would say the value versus the purchase price. On the bigger property, the value is way more. $950 an acre. I've got water. I've got a limited amount of wood. I've got hunting and fishing, all that stuff, and that's way more value than I'm getting out of here. This piece of property was already logged, so there's no trees here, and it's an extreme amount of work to get this place a workable farm. There's no pond, nothing. So I would say, if you can save more money, save the $10,000 or as much as you possibly can for whatever property you really want, and don't rush it, and basically just be patient and you'll find the right piece of property. I'm going to leave links in all of the places in the description, and they'll be for both cases. I mean, basically, either way you're gonna look for land, you're gonna want to start at landwatch.com. Almost everybody that sells land, they sell it on landwatch.com, so that's gonna be your best bet. Other than that, I'll leave links for all the other companies, for people that are just on a budget or want to get on the land and not put a lot into it because they're not sure that that's what they want to do. That's going to be a good option for those people. But if you are serious and you know this is what you want to do and you don't want to do it twice like we have, then save your money and wait and just buy the right piece of property. Just only do it once, because yeah, sure, we didn't really waste our time out here. We learned a lot, but I mean, it would have been a lot easier if we had water and all that stuff. So it will make you or break you if you decide to get a piece of property too soon. That's just, I mean, you decide to go out in the desert and you don't have water set up, you're screwed. You know what I mean? So that's basically it, guys. That's all I got for you. Those are my top 5 things to consider, plus A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But basically, that's what the process that we went through, our mindset on where we're going to decide to move to. We wanted to go to a colder climate, so we looked north, and we have family out in Albany, New York, so that was the best location anywhere north of there. Further away from society you go, the cheaper it's going to be, and the better the land's going to be. It's going to be less touched, you know. So, alright guys, hope you liked this video. I hope you found it helpful if you are looking for land, owner financed, or land in general, for homesteading or off-grid. And if you want to see our journey going to northern Vermont, and this is our canvas tent that I'm in right now, we're taking this with us, and I'm just setting it up temporarily to test it out. If you want to see how we're going to be doing it, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Alright guys, have a good one.